garden friends, welcome back. It's week 3 of This Week in the Garden, and as you can see behind me, some things have been happening. So today is cold and rainy. It's like in the mid-upper 40s, maybe 50. We just got through a big swath of rain and there's a break in between showers, so I thought I'd run out here and do a little filming because yesterday, Tuesday, I spent the entire day out here in the garden. 9 hours, easily. But I got a lot done. And I had a little bit of help in the morning with my friend Sylvia. Thank you, Sylvia. And a little bit of help in the late afternoon from my husband getting row cover on. So thank you, dear husband. And but the rest of the day it was planting and watering and planting, more planting. So let me show you what I did. And this is just the start of this week's planting. I've got a bunch more to do. It's early spring planting season where all the cool weather crops go in. So a lot of stuff went in yesterday. Some more stuff will go in probably tomorrow. We'll see how the weather goes. It's supposed to be rainy again. And yeah, there's going to be stuff going in next couple of weeks before all of the warmer crops go in. Things like tomatoes and cucumbers and beans and things like that. Those won't be for another couple of weeks yet. So let's take a look and see what got in the ground. So you'll see most of what I planted yesterday is now nestled under row cover. And there's a reason for that. All of these are in the brassica family. So here in New England, flea beetles are, I think, pretty much our #1 brassica pest. They eat tiny little holes in leaves and basically ruin it. They're still edible, but they're definitely not pretty to look at. So this row cover protect net from Johnny's, it does a great job of preventing flea beetles from doing massive damage. Actually, I'm going to swing up here because I just have to show you this. This is our rhubarb. It went from like little stumps a couple weeks ago to this forest of rhubarb. Oh my gosh. And the rain just makes it explode. Rhubarb pie, anybody? Wow. So a quick check-in on the onions. They're doing well, settling in to their little spots. The rain is certainly helping. And here is the carrot bed that I sowed the other day. And nothing yet. Probably not for another couple of days. But I've been keeping it damp, and hopefully that will start sprouting soon. Here is the arugula that I sowed the other day. At the same time I sowed the carrots. No, actually, yeah, the same day I sowed the carrots. And as you can see, it's already popping up. Yay! I'm so happy to see this arugula, I can't tell you. Okay, so what did I plant? Let's see, in this row here, I planted kale. I'm going to lift this row cover up here. You can kind of see it through there. I planted kale. Lots of kale. Curly leaf kale and Italian kale further down. And they're approximately, well, it's a double row. The plants are about 2 feet apart, and the rows probably about, I don't know, 12 inches apart. And they're staggered. And this is to allow them to have plenty of room to grow without crowding each other. So the kale row is about, right now it's about half this length here. I want to say maybe about 30 feet. And yeah, down here my row cover has, this is an old piece of row cover. It's got a few holes, so I have to do a little patching. But the cover on the kale, kale isn't so much bothered by flea beetles, so I'm not as worried, but yeah, I'll have to do some patching. Anyway, the rest of this little row here, let's see if I can find a spot where I can lift this up easily. The rest of this row here is cabbage. I forget which variety, but one of the varieties of cabbage. Lots of cabbage. All right. So then, I know this is sort of hard to see with all this row cover on, but it's important to get the row cover on early before the flea beetles find everything. So the row next to the kale here, this middle row here, the entire length is varieties of broccoli. I love broccoli. My husband actually loves broccoli, so we plant lots of broccoli. And these are approximately 2 feet apart. These broccoli plants get very big. And they're different varieties, heading varieties, the typical big head of broccoli, but also ones that produce like just little shoots. DeChico, I believe, is one of the varieties. So we've got a couple of different early broccoli varieties, and then the DeChico, which is like side shoots. I'll come up with the proper name for that in a minute. Yeah. Oops, and actually I just noticed something here. The other thing I tried to do, get this silly bag out of the way, although I ran out of them, is I put these little cutworm collars on. Here we go. This one got blown over yesterday in the wind. You can see that up close. So it's basically just a piece of toilet paper tube or paper towel tube. We have cutworms here, and it depends. Some seasons are worse than others, but cutworms love to take your little seedlings and cut them off at the surface of the soil. So putting a little tube like this around the seedling helps prevent that. And this will just rot into the ground, or as the plant gets bigger, it just sort of pushes it apart. So I won't come back and take these off. They'll just disintegrate. But it helps prevent heartbreak when you come out and half of your seedlings are laying on the ground, dead. Ooh. All right. The next row, I think it's this row here. Yeah, this row. This is a combination of different cauliflowers and cabbages. I had to think about that for a second. And this is the only one where I remembered to put the drip tape down before I put the row cover on. You'll notice the other two didn't have drip tape on them. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back when I eventually do hook up the drip irrigation system, and thread that through. But yeah, there was much swearing last night at about 5 o'clock when I was out here with my husband, realizing that crap, we just put row cover on 3 other rows and no drip tape. Anyway, so here's the drip tape that will irrigate these crops, and the other rows will eventually have them. But yeah, these are little cauliflower plants, different varieties. This one, oh, I can't remember the name, I'll put it up on the screen, but it's sort of like the DeChico broccoli variety that does the little side shoots. This does the same thing with cauliflower, and they're really delicious and tender. And then I've got some traditional heading cauliflower on the way, about halfway down. And then way down here, I think down here at the bottom, let's see if I can find them. Is it this one? Nope. Where is it? Here we go. So way down here we've got some more cabbages. This is purple cabbage, as you can see by the red leaves. All right, I'm going to go back up here and show you the one other thing that got planted yesterday. Now these rows, I should note, are about 85-90 feet long, roughly. So yeah, that's a lot of planting. So over on this short row, this entire row or partial row, and I'll show you why in a second, It was supposed to be for just like random brassicas, things that I sow throughout the year. I ran out of room for my cabbages, so there's some cabbage there. But down here we have some pak choys and some other Chinese cabbage and some kohlrabi. And again, all of these are in the brassica family, so they get tucked under row cover. The other thing we did, or I did earlier, and that's why this row is somewhat truncated, or will be. You can see this line in the dirt here. The ends of these 4 rows are going to be a corn block. We're going to grow the red Fioriani. Oh, I can't pronounce that. I will put it up on the screen. But it's a heritage corn that is used to make cornmeal. So these 4 rows will become a corn block. Way too early to plant it just yet, so won't be planting it probably for another couple of weeks, at least, after Memorial Day, or maybe even like first week of June. Have to wait until the soil is good and warm. So this will be a corn block, which truncates these rows here, but that's okay. I've got plenty of room. All right, so swinging back around. So my husband my husband composted these rows here the day before, actually the morning of, when I started doing all this planting. And he had some extra, so he threw that in these rows. But eventually all these rows will get compost once I figure out what's going into them and what other amendments I have to put in them. Okay, so that was the big planting day. The other couple of things that got done, I did actually put compost on top of the peas, like I said I was going to. Actually, my friend Sylvia helped me with that. And then we also spread out the sweet potato row cover. This is where the sweet potatoes will eventually be going. Here in the Northeast, they need lots of heat, and the Northeast isn't really known for heat, so putting a black plastic row cover on the bed really helps keep the soil nice and warm. And we just burned holes down the center, and the slips will go into the holes. And it also helps keep it weed-free, which is helpful. So I counted out how many holes I needed for the slips that I'm getting, and this part of the bed here is where my regular potatoes will be going. And those are going to be going in hopefully this weekend. Get through this cold and rainy section of weather, and then it's supposed to be really nice, and it'll be warm enough to put the potatoes in. Here's a quick update on the elderberries that I planted a couple weeks ago, week 1. They're starting to sprout, so that's encouraging. Yay, very excited about that. Here is actually the pollinator variety. That's doing really well. And then the raspberries, or not raspberries, blackberries are leafing out really nicely. They seem to be pretty happy. Ignore the weeds. So yeah, they're looking good already. And this is the variety called Chester. And then the goji berries are doing well, and as you can see, I have not yet composted the goji berry row. So I gotta get on that. Make sure they have some compost and some goodies in their soil. They seem to be doing okay though, even without the compost. Well, it's starting to sprinkle a little bit again, and I think the next round of rain is coming. So I'm gonna dash inside, and we'll see you later in the week. Okay, well, it's now Saturday evening, and the week is over, at least this week in the garden week anyway. After about 3 days of rain and a blissful vacation from black flies, the sun is out today and the black flies are back. So I'm wearing this. I'm not even sure that you can see my face through this, but I'm here. Anyway, let me show you what we got done today, and then I have one more thing to do before I call it a wrap today. This morning, my dear friend Sylvia came over, and together we planted some lettuce. This is the first lettuce going in to the garden this year. Definitely later than I want it to be, but here we are. So yeah, here is, this is a mix. This first section here is a mix of the Salanova lettuces from Johnny's. These are the heads of lettuce that you cut and toss into a mixed salad. The leaves fall off into nice tiny little leaves. Makes a really nice sort of mesclun type salad. And I've grown these for years for market, but I have a lot of leftover seeds, so I'm going to be growing them this year for us. And then the first few heads that I had in the greenhouse of just a green leaf head lettuce. I think this one's Bergram's green. I'll have to double check that, but pretty sure that's what it is. Really nice early spring green head lettuce. So we got those in. More to come, many, many more. I planted them here in this row because the onions only went so far, and I had all this extra space in the row cover, so why not use them? All right, so then we're gonna swing over, pardon the shadow, and show you one more thing that we got done today. And again, thanks to my friend Sylvia, who came over to help. All right, so we'll go this way. And we got, of course it's not going to look like much now because it's all planted, but this is the row back there. The tarp with the holes in it, the single holes. This is going to be where we plant sweet potatoes this year. And I had, sorry for the swing, this leftover bit of the row, so I put the potatoes in here. I planted two varieties, Yukon Gold and Dark Red Nordland. So just a classic red potato, and then of course Yukon Gold, the yellow fleshed potato. And we got them all in this section here, so hopefully they will be sprouting soon. The red Nordland had actually started to sprout already. Pretty good, actually. There's one little sprout sticking out of the ground here already. So those we'll see pretty soon. But the Yukon Golds just had a couple of little buds. So yeah, so potatoes and lettuce were the accomplishment of the day. Making progress. So I'm here at the eastern end of the garden in the fruit row area, and I had told you in a previous video that I had one more unusual fruit that I was going to put in these rows this year, and as luck would have it, today they showed up in the mail. These are honeyberries. So I ordered these online from a company out in the Pacific Northwest, and they're 3 different varieties. So I'm gonna get these in the ground right here in front of the apple and pear fruit row, and hope that in a couple of years they'll produce fruit. They're pretty tiny, but hopefully they'll catch up and start producing fruit soon. So let's get these planted. All right, well, I got the honeyberries in the ground, 3 varieties here, and hopefully they will do pretty well here. They are a cold hardy fruit, apparently from the Arctic regions. So we have cold winters, not quite that cold, but hopefully they'll do just fine here. And the fruit is really, really high in antioxidants and vitamin C. So I'm really interested to try these. I've been wanting to try these for a couple of years. Just haven't found them out on the open market, if you will, in big box stores. So I ordered these again from a company in the Pacific Northwest. I will put a link in the description in case you're interested in checking them out. And yeah, so we'll see what happens with these 3. We'll follow them over the coming years and yeah, hopefully they'll produce lots of nice fruit. So that's it for this week. It's been a warm week. It was 75 today, and I just don't know what to do with this heat yet. And it's supposed to be 90 in a day or two. And yeah, I think winter is over. So hopefully next week will be a little bit cooler. We'll see. But either way, we'll be here, and I do hope you join me to see what happens in week 4 of This Week in the Garden. Until then, thank you for joining me. I do appreciate that you're here, and we'll see you next time. Bye.